Slither, Super, Guardians of the Galaxy, The Suicide Squad, and Peacemaker, all directed and written by James Gunn. You know him, you love him, well you might actually hate him right now. And I'm here to put a stop to it. Look, before you go ripping me a new asshole, Henry Cavill's my favorite Superman. Ben Affleck is one of my favorite Batmans. Man of Steel is one of my favorite films ever made and the most underrated comic book film of all time. And Zack Snyder is one of my top 5 favorite filmmakers. So with that said, can you guys shut the fuck up and leave James Gunn alone? Am I sad that Henry Cavill might not come back, especially after he just announced that he is coming back? Yeah, absolutely. I'm not only sad, I'm pissed off. But let's face it, we're not exactly happy with the DCU to begin with anyway, so just burn it to hell. We already know everything wrong with the DCU before James Gunn or Discovery stepped in, so we don't need to regurgitate it for the 100,000th time. But the most important thing to remember is that they never really had a solid plan to begin with. They kept changing everything nonstop and becoming too overreactionary to the feedback instead of sitting down and truly listening to what the issues mean. And don't get me wrong, Marvel could be loose with their plan structure, but they always have a great track record at once they announce something, it usually gets made. That wasn't the case with DC. Projects would constantly get announced and would never see the light of day. Now, with that said, the DCU is about to be 10 years old this year, and it still doesn't feel like a cohesive universe. Nothing feels organic, and it never truly felt like a fully lived in or established universe. Gotham looks different in every movie. The tones of characters change drastically from project to project. Projects aren't building off of one another, and there is no overarching narrative to follow and care about. So is it sad that we are possibly saying goodbye to our favorite actors? Yeah, it is. But James Gunn is offering us what we have been asking for, a unified DC universe where the world can actually feel intact and cohesive, and yet different and versatile, making it stand out from Marvel and crafting its own identity. I always like to think that Marvel was more about relatability, whereas DC was more about mythology, god-like beings walking the earth, and the sheer awe-inspiring impossibility that it is. Marvel is an over-exaggerated reflection of our world, with New York being the hub of a lot of their most famous characters inhabiting places we know and can go see. But DC has these places that aren't real: Gotham, Metropolis, Bloodhaven, etc, etc, etc. These being the places we visit. Cities like Gotham and Metropolis are larger than life and don't feel like real places. They feel like a fantasy, with out-of-this-world architecture and buildings that actually scrape the sky. And I want to see that. As much as I love Nolan's trilogy and Snyder's concepts for the DCU, I would also love to see a Gotham City that isn't clearly Chicago. Gunn can, and I'm sure will, give that to us. I think people are bitter over losing Henry or Affleck or Snyder's overall vision, and I get that. But at the end of the day, the DCU is so broken, there isn't much to do to fix it. And don't go saying to bring back Snyder. I love Snyder. I love the DCU he was crafting, but he isn't coming back even if Warner Brothers wanted him. Do you really think, after everything he went through with that studio, he would want to come back? No. And I wish I could say obviously, but of course I can't, because that isn't the world we live in. Gunn is a talented guy, and he not only knows and respects the source material, I mean, you can tell. I mean, look how excited he gets talking about this stuff. But what makes him special is the amount of care he has for artists and their creative interpretations. Look at all the different mediums this DC universe is going to cross through. Animation, film, TV, video games, comics. It's batshit crazy in the best way. He wants to revitalize his brand, and I think he is the perfect guy to do it. To change things up. Give us a Batman with a blue suit, wide eyes, and a teenage son dressed in red spandex. Give us a Batman that smiles from time to time and can show that he has humanity. Give us a Superman that is quiet, resilient, and has to mask his emotions to the world and be the symbol of truth, justice, and the American way. Show us the DC that is larger than life and can't be found outside our front door. Show us these gods, these beings that can't be real but are, and the sheer awe that it is. That the world wakes in their footsteps. That the world becomes more fragile with each metahuman emerging, and yet it can't be more protected all the same. I just can't stand the back and forth I see from people on Twitter ripping into Gunn so aggressively over something we haven't even gotten yet. You guys look nuts. Look, if he makes his movies and they come out consistently horrible, sure, then be mad. But until then, sit back, relax, and let him do his thing. Because let's be honest, it has to be better than what we've been getting the past 10 years. And I'm willing to put money on that. So yeah, Call me crazy, but I have a high amount of optimism for Gunn's new DC, and everyone else should try to think positively about it. Because if you go in hating it to begin with, you might just miss something truly special.